Our wonderful sport of disc golf has an endless supply of unique terminology. Hyzer, anhyzer, overstable, parting line, gummy, tacky, beaded, domey, the list goes on. But things get a little bit confusing when you talk specifically about stability. The word stable is sometimes used to describe straight discs, but it's also sometimes used to describe overstable discs. Neutral is used to describe straight or stable discs as well. But what combination of flight numbers means straight? Well, let's use these straight-ish fairway drivers to find out, because the disc is in the details. Hey everyone, it's Greg from Six Sided Discs, and this is the Streak from Climo Discs. Described by Climo as straight, reliable, and dependable, it's rated at 7 speed, 5 glide, 0 turn, and 1 fade. And this is where we want to get back to the flight numbers and the word straight. Firstly, let me remind you that flight numbers are determined by each individual manufacturer in any way they see fit to do so. That is sometimes by a vote from their fans, maybe sometimes by giving those discs to their sponsored pros to test out, but sometimes it is a behind closed doors process that we know nothing about. And no matter what it is, it needs to be taken with a grain of salt, because flight numbers mean different things to different people. For example, the following mid-ranges are all described as straight by their manufacturer. The Discmania MD3 at 5501. The Discraft Buzz at 54-11. The Innova Mako 3 at 5500. The Latitude 64 Fuse at 56-10. And the MVP Reactor at 55, -0.5, 1.5. The same is also true amongst fairway drivers. Discraft Cicada is a popular, newer straight fairway, but once again, other straight or stable descriptions are applied to the Discmania FD at 7601, Innova's TL at 75, -11, the Streamline Drift at 75, -21, the Clash Disc Soda at 75, -22, and even Discraft's new Sagara at 76, -12. And even discs like the Innova T-Bird with flight numbers of 7502 are described by some people as straight. So which is it? Are all of these right? Are they all wrong, or something in between? Well, we're going to try to find out by comparing the new Climo Streak to a few popular straight fairway drivers. The contenders today, of course, include the Streak itself, rated at 7501. It's here in Climo's new Signature Blend, which is very similar to Discraft's ESP plastic. By the way, in case you haven't already seen Climo discs in our other videos, all of their discs are made by Discraft. And as a result, it would make sense that we should compare a few straight Discraft fairway drivers as well, including the Cicada, in both Z plastic and ESP. We also have a Z Sagara, rated a little bit more overstable at 76, -12. But again, those are flight numbers that sort of fit this straight or stable vibe, because it's hard to know what Discraft means with those numbers. -1 turn and 2 fade sometimes means that the disc will literally get some turn and then fade back. But I've also seen a lot of discs that have these turn and fade numbers that are expected to push a lot straighter. We also have an Innova Champion T-Bird to test out that 0 turn and 2 fade. And finally, a Discmania S-Line FD. And a disc that we actually know tends to be very straight in their S-Line plastic. But it's all hypothetical speculation until we get these discs out on the course and let it rip. And just before we do, a quick reminder that we still have a couple stops left on our summer and fall tour. This coming Saturday, we'll be at the Fly Mart at Holden's at D-Glow. Stop by and say hello, show us you're subscribed, and grab one of our Flight Numbers Don't Matter patches for your bag or cart. Our last stop of the season will be the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship in Lynchburg, Virginia, so we hope to see you there. Oh, and we also have some exciting new releases hitting the website this week, including the Discraft First Run Zone SS, the new Doomsday Psyop, and coming on September 8th, the Trash Panda Procyon. Find them all at sixsideddiscs.com. Now let's get out on the course and begin by getting a benchmark set by the longtime super straight fairway driver, the Discmania FD. Rated at 7601, the FD has been incredibly popular, whether the current Discmania-made version or the old one made by Innova. The FD is one of Discmania's most popular discs by far. Here we have it in their opaque premium S-line plastic, and the FD is quite versatile. Depending on the power and angle that you give it, you can get a minimal turn and fade like this. But you can also get a really straight shot, like this one. While Josh releases this just a tad late, it isn't on anhyzer. It's just flying a really straight line in that direction, as opposed to the camera's perspective, though that would have been nice. The FD is also great on a moderate anhyzer angle. It can just float and float and float for effortless shot shaping. So with the FD as our baseline, what other discs do we have that can fit this sort of straight description? How about we start with the least likely of the lot, the Innova T-Bird. Now, Innova's T-Bird is not what I would expect to be straight, but as I was researching this video, I found a surprising amount of people who use it as a straight to neutral fairway. Maybe those people have Anthony Barella power, who knows? Because for an above average power thrower like Josh, it was still decently overstable, even as this is a slightly beat in T-Bird. So I'm going to say the internet got that one wrong, and we'll move right along to Discraft's latest straightish fairway, Anthony Barella's Cigarra. Released earlier this year, the Cigarra, Spanish for cicada, is rated at 7.6, -1.2, and is, understandably, supposed to be a more overstable version of the cicada. And seeing as Anthony Barella can throw farther than anyone in the game right now, as showcased by this insane shot on hole 18 at the World Championships, going out of bounds long uphill on like a 700-foot par 4, we might expect the Cigarra to be straight, at least for Anthony Barella. But for mere mortals, the Cigarra is more overstable. For me, it's actually quite overstable. And yes, that was a backhand. So if you've watched this channel for a while, you probably know that I basically stopped throwing backhands entirely. I've started to slowly introduce them again, and all I can say is I can't throw very far. But that's fine. Anyways, for Josh, who has plenty of power, and for Caleb as well, they both found it more versatile than I did. Caleb got a nice smooth turn followed by a decent fade, while Josh had a surprisingly beefy flight. I expect the new ESP Cigarra to be a little bit straighter than the Z version, but sadly they didn't arrive in time for this video, though you can now find them on our website. All that being said, I also picked up a Mega Glow Cigarra at Ledgestone, and boy, this thing is crazy overstable. So it seems, as usual, the plastic has an awful lot to do with the flight. No surprise there. Speaking of plastic and stability, let's take a look at the Cicada in both ESP and Z plastic. The Cicada is famous around these parts, not for much that it does on the course, but rather how much hype it gave to what has become our most watched video ever. The Cicada is definitely less overstable than the Cigarra. In ESP plastic, it was pretty neutral for me, getting a little bit of turn and then some fade, despite my not so great nose angle. For Josh, though, it was pretty understable, quickly flipping over and holding a gentle turn before slowly fading back. And if we compare that to the Z Cicada, well, I think we can all agree which one was straighter. So where does the Climo streak fit in here then? Here you can see it showing that 0 turn and 1 fade perfectly, holding straight for a long time before a pretty subtle fade. Even for my arm, albeit in a tailwind, the streak still showed that straight flight at high speed. That tailwind gave it a much more aggressive fade though. But there's 2 shots that show just how similar it is to the S-Line FD. Here it flies that same straight flight that the FD had, on almost exactly the same line. And on anhyzer, they both resist turning over and gently make their way to flat. Climo calls it straight, reliable, and repeatable, and it looks like it is exactly that. And it's the perfect name for this disc, because Ken Climo's 9-year world championship streak was more reliable and repeatable than any streak we're likely to see again in disc golf. What do you think of the streak? Have you thrown it? Leave a comment down below. And also comment below and tell us your favorite straight fairway driver. Remember, the disc is in the details. For Six Sided Discs, I'm Greg. We'll see you in the next one. Our wonderful sport of disc golf has an endless... Okay. Our wonderful... neutral is used to describe straight, or... But it's all hypothetical flight numbers and speculation until we get this disc out on the... Well, we're going to find out by... If you like this content and want to see more, please consider liking the video, subscribing to our channel, or becoming a member. Your support makes this content possible.